Hello, everyone. My name is Genevieve Griffiths, and I was tasked with the discussion of genetics and its interaction with the Catholic intellectual tradition. And so, what I'd like to do is discuss how we try to bring ethics to the table when we're discussing our scientific technologies in the classroom. So, this is going to be a brief introduction to a discourse on the ethical limitations of scientific advancements utilizing a Catholic framework. And the big question that we've got to focus on here is, when do we cross the boundary from medical advancement and into potential harm when we're utilizing the same technologies? And for the purposes of time here, I know I only have 5 minutes, so I'll try to be brief. I'm just going to introduce one technology that we can utilize in multiple different ways. And I'm going to start off at the boundary of what everyone would agree that they would be pro, and we'll work our way from through all the shades of gray until we get to where I'm pretty sure most people would be anti. And then we have to discuss how we are able to figure out where that boundary is and make sure that the students that we are teaching understand the limitations of the technological advances. So, the technology that I'm going to focus on is selection of a particular embryo utilizing in vitro fertilization, and we can basically isolate a cell from that embryo and test whether or not it is a carrier for a particular disease. And I'm pretty sure that most people would agree that if we were able to select against negative diseases like cystic fibrosis, etc., and choose an embryo that is not carrying that genetic disorder for implantation, that would be okay. But if we turn that question on its head a little bit and we ask if individuals who are already in these communities, like a deaf community, might want to select for offspring that are going to be able to join their deaf community and learn their language and interact with their members, or a parents that are both dwarfs, for example, might want to opt to choose to have a child with dwarfism instead of a child of normal height because they're already set up for the short tables and the short stoves and short showers, etc. So this would be something that would be, most people would say, well, I think we want to leave that to the parents that are making this decision. Um, Another thing that has happened in the past is we might end up with a parent who has one offspring is sick, a child that has sick and is going to need an organ transplant of some sort. And so, since the couple is still in their childbearing years, they opt to undergo in vitro fertilization with the attempt to select for an embryo that carries the correct markers for being able to become a suitable organ donor for the sibling that is sick. And are there ethical limitations to this? Of course. And would we say that we are allowed to or not allowed to do this? I'm not going to potentially say here, but I'm just saying that using the same technologies, we can start twisting the idea of should we on its head. So we're now at the area where can we is no longer a question and should we becomes the objective. Um, so here's another ethical question. If we're able to select for or against certain traits, should we be able to enhance IQ or height or beauty and select for a superior organism by selection of genes that we believe to be attractive, utilizing in vitro fertilization? And I do think that most people would say no to this, but I think we're still probably in the shades of gray. And this last one, I'm pretty sure that we're all going to say this one should be a no-go, right? Human cloning for the purposes of organ donation. Should we be able to take a sick individual and clone them and create essentially a human that would be utilizing for organ donation back to the original human that was? And obviously most of us are going to say that human cloning is pretty much off the table. So I want to kind of wrap this up with the idea that when we're in the classroom, we spend a lot of time teaching about the information, the technology, etc. But we need to, as scientists, kind of flip that on its head and start introducing the idea that we should be balancing what we can do with what we should do and what is ethically and morally right. And so we have to introduce these topics into our classroom, the idea of balancing non-malevolence versus the benefit to our society. So I'm going to wrap up here. It was lovely to introduce my topic to everyone, and I hope everyone has a fabulous day. Take care.